Good evening. Welcome to Something to Talk About. We are still on a high from Liberation Day. Guam is a very patriotic island. Everybody will tell you that. Tonight, we're going to be meeting with a young man who has been stationed on Guam up at Andersen Air Force Base, trying to get to know some of our military service members, those who live among us, and those who share our same passions and patriotism for the United States. We'll be talking to him coming up in a little while. We're here at King's. We've got food. We've got talk. We got a lot to talk about. Come on back. Good evening. Welcome to Something to Talk About. We are at King's, of course, in Tamuning, and we've got the full set of dishes that we always have at King's. Thanks to the staff and the management of King's. They always hook us up when we come here. Today, we've got a special guest with us. He is Master Sergeant Ed Thomas, been in Guam for a year and a half. He's assigned to Andersen Air Force Base 36 Security Forces Squadron.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's coming all the way down from Andersen to be with us here.
Yes.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation.
No, it's my pleasure to have you here. Now, first of all, tell me, what is the 36th Security Forces Squadron? All I can think of is that you provide security, but
That's
it's
100%.
more, but it's more than just base security, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
As the defenders here at Andersen Air Force Base, they defend the premier platform here for the Pacific. So as you go around Andersen, you see the men and women with the blue berets. Those are our defenders. They go around and make sure that base security, installation security, personnel, everyone's taken care of for, provided for. When we don't think about those things, they make sure that those things are always taken care of for us.
But is this squadron, do you deploy from Guam to other areas in this
that
region?
option is always available. Not necessarily in the region. There are certain members and sections that do get that opportunity to go out there and do different things of that nature. But most of our defenders for the 36th Security Forces Squadron mostly maintain here at Andersen Air Force Base. I'm
going to say that I think that the security up at Andersen Air Force Base, although base security is serious, I'm going to say that security up at Andersen is probably really, really serious. Would you agree?
Some may say so. Yeah.
You can't tell me much. I can tell that this is where this conversation is going to go. But it seems like it has, just because of the importance of Guam, and to the strategy of the U.S. and because of where we are, it would seem to me that there has been changes, I'm pretty sure, in the past 20 years even, at the heightened level that we probably have up there.
Yes, the Andersen Air Force Base happens to be the premier warfighting platform in the Pacific.
Yeah.
So with the focused transition this way, we have to make sure that the men and women are securing those assets and the personnel that are maintain those duties every day. So what they do on a day-to-day basis is very important. And the men and women there they're great young men and women. Like what they do every day and what they bring to work, you can't really equate or put in words. It's a joy to work for the squadron.
The fact that you're up there on the northern tip like that, and you really are, for the most part, separated from most of the community with such a large area to secure. Is it easier or harder being on the end of a cliff?
That gives us a little bit of ease in regards to, you section off a section of what we have to protect.
Yeah.
With the cliff being out there, our members have to just sort of secure the lines that's closest towards the community, ensuring that members are accessing the base that should be accessing the base, no trespassing, things of that nature, no inappropriate photos or things like that, and just making sure people are aware. It's not just about defense, it's about presenting an environment where people feel comfortable. You don't want people scared to be around the installation. You want them to feel welcome, but at the same time know that they're safe.
And there's quite a bit of land that's privately owned as well that is under your jurisdiction.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it difficult in that way because you also have people who have access to that land?
So there's a communication piece that's going on that will go on for the duration of Andersen Air Force Base in Guam, of those individuals and those families granting access and visitor passes and full access to their land. That is their land here on Guam, the Natural Chamorro individuals, and they have full rights to that land. And we ensure, and it's coordinated, that they get out there to that land whenever they choose to, and that everything runs as smooth as possible.
Let's talk about protecting that flight line.
Yes, ma'am.
You still have a pretty good view of the flight line, unlike in some places, in some bases, you don't have a view of the flight line at all.
Correct.
So you don't know what the activity is. But, we got a lot of military Air Force retirees that go up to the commissary or to the exchange, and they see certain aircraft on the field, some things you can't hide.
It's beautiful. That is my joy. Being a prior maintainer, I love the way Anderson is laid out. As you enter the base and you're driving on, and you get that opportunity to view the aircraft that are on the ramp. It's a calming feeling. It's peaceful. It's sort of an air show on any given day. You get
That's
to see
true.
different
It
aircraft.
is sort of an air show, yeah.
And with that comes with the men and women that work on those aircraft and what they're doing, and the hustle and bustle of making sure that aircraft is maintained and properly and ready to meet that sortie. It's a joy.
Yeah, it is a joy, but what's the complication of, securing a flight line that close, the perimeter that close to where the public is?
Complication-wise, we don't foresee any complication in that regards. We think of it as a way of giving back, especially as you mentioned for our retirees. They've spent 20 plus years in the service, and as you stated, at certain installations, the airframe is sort of detached from public view.
Yeah.
Here at Anderson, we have that opportunity to kind of give back every day to our retirees to say, hey, this is what you contributed towards, and this is what we're doing every day to uphold, the tradition that you laid out for us.
There is a vast area of uninhabited lands, clearly. If you drive from Route 3 and you head toward Northwest Field, there's just boony for miles,
yes,
and
ma'am.
there's a lot of stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
But people, how do you secure that much of the perimeter when the landmass is so large?
Continuous observation. That's it. Rotating schedules, continuous observation, getting
Do you
out
have
there.
remote cameras and that sort of thing out there? Can I ask you that?
Cameras,
Yeah.
presence, ATVs.
Any electric fences and any of that stuff?
I can't tell you till you touch it.
Yeah. You'll know when you'll find out
Yes, ma'am.
yourself. Yeah.
When you grab it, you'll find it. But it's just about making sure the members are out there, make sure the community is informed in regards to allowable areas to go to, areas that they're not allowed to go to, and just ensuring that the respective boundaries are adhered to.
Yeah, it has grown a lot tougher having access to the base because the security
Yes, ma'am.
is so tight. And I think maybe for clarification purposes, when people visit the base for a number of reasons, like they're retirees and they're going to go shopping, for example, or visiting friends who they have up here, what are the security policies about having access to the base as a guest of a service member?
As a guest of a service member, so at our visitor control center, right outside the front gate, to the right-hand side, you'll see the small building before you enter the gate access. And you just go in, and whoever the military member is, DOD or retiree, they go in, they'll write them a visitor's pass or request for members to get that access to the installation. Checks are performed, or background checks, make sure members are in good standings of the community and of our system, and make sure they are given access. And then once that's in, they go through. They should maintain access with their sponsor at all times so that members aren't detached from each other.
That's a really important point. I'm going to make that point again because a lot of people are not free to roam around. Once
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
on base, you have to be really within physical presence
With
of the
your
person.
sponsor. As close as we are right now is how you should be with your sponsor.
At all times, they
Yes,
should be
ma'am.
accompanied. So even sort of, going to the bathroom.
We'll give you a little grace period
Okay,
there.
all right. So I just want to see, I just want to know what the parameters are. But I mean, it's serious because I've known of people who have had these issues where someone happened to walk outside or something like at the commissary
Yes,
or
ma'am.
somewhere like that, and then they became detached, physically detached
ma'am.
from that person, and that became an issue.
In most cases, we like to think of it as if something was to go wrong, the sponsor will be held reliable.
Yeah.
So for your safety and the surety of the members that you have on, it's just best that you have visual eye contact of the members that you sponsor, because you will be ultimately held responsible.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a really quick break here, and then when we come back, I want to delve in a little bit more into your life
Yes,
on
ma'am.
Guam, having where you came from, living on Guam, and what that experience has been like. Of course, we're in the middle of our Liberation Day festivities, and it's always cool to have people who've never been to Guam or grew up on Guam give us an idea of what it's like to actually live here and make it their home, even if it is just temporary.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking to Master Sergeant Ed Thomas. He's with Anderson Air Force Base for Something to Talk About. We'll be right back. Welcome to Something to Talk About. We are at King's Restaurant in Tamuini, and our guest, Master Sergeant Ed Thomas, originally from Chicago.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
South Chicago.
And then you moved to Las Vegas.
Yes, ma'am.
That's like extreme weather conditions, right?
Yeah, it took some getting used to. Go
Yeah.
from snow to -20 to 110 degrees in any given
Yeah.
Sunday. Summer.
But you didn't necessarily grow up in Chicago. Maybe for a point in your life you were there?
I lived there till I was 13. So when I graduated 8th grade, my mom, my family, my little brother, we moved to Las Vegas, and that's where I started high school. I was in Las Vegas.
Okay. Yeah, that's a vast cultural difference
Yes.
too.
Yes.
The desert compared to people are different in that kind of temperatures. When you were growing up though, was this like something that you knew you wanted to do, or was going into the Air Force your thing? Or
Air Force was one of those things that just kind of happen in life, and we just kind of take that ride and just go with it. I graduated high school. I was attending UNLV for a couple years for electrical engineering, working full time in the day, going to school full time at night, coaching in between there. And I used to ride by the recruit office every day.
really?
And then one day I just stopped. I just pulled in, asked a couple questions.
And they had you.
He answered my questions. I was very simple, and he set me up to go take the ASVAB test. I went and took the test, talked about it a little bit, came back with some jobs. I was like, all right.
If it had been like an Army recruiting office or a Marines recruiting or a Navy recruiting office, would that have made a difference?
Potentially, at that time, I'm not sure what drew me to the Air Force. It was something different. In high school, I was in Army ROTC, so I was used to that environment and culture. I had a great ROTC commander, outstanding man. So there's nothing that deterred me from those factors. Just something different about the Air Force that just pulled me in.
Yeah. That was what year, if you don't mind
That was
asking?
in 2000. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I enlisted in May of 2000.
Yeah. I wonder, just out of curiosity, just because you're a man, I would wonder what compels a young man to go the way of the military. Because a lot of young men in America have taken some sordid paths.
Yes, ma'am.
Sordid paths. They don't necessarily think that the military is the place to go.
I've seen it over the years just talking to different individuals and meeting a lot of great people. I've heard a lot of different answers. Some do it as an escape. This is the best option of life for them and whatever upbringing they had, and they want to make the best out of their life, and they choose that option. Some do it as a choice of patriotism, like their entire family has been in some form of the military, or they're the first, and they want to give back to their country. A lot lately, especially since 9/11, it's a very patriotic core of members who come through because we've been in a state of war since the day they've enlisted. So they know from the moment that they enlisted that they have the opportunity to be going to war and die for their country.
Well, they also know from the point that they're going to go in that this is not that they're entering into a war situation.
Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, what is the psychology behind stepping into the danger when you could easily not? I mean, we don't have a draft.
Yeah,
I mean, there
true.
wasn't a draft
No,
in
ma'am.
force at the time.
Being bigger than ourselves. That's the only thing I can attest it to. What we do on a day-to-day basis, it's not about us. It's not about what we can gain from it or how we can stand out, being recognized. It shouldn't ever be about that. It's about what we do for a bigger, broader community. And that community happens to be the Air Force, which in turn defends the United States and outside sovereign nations and allies. So it's never about the member.
Have you, in your career, have you been mostly in the U.S. in security, or have you been other places in the world?
I've been back and forth overseas and stateside. So security forces just happen to be the squadron I'm attached to now because of my position. I spent 3 years in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona.
What were you doing there?
There as an aircraft maintainer for A-10. So I did.
How did you do that? How do you switch it over like that? It's like one day I'm a doctor and tomorrow I'm a heart surgeon or
In essence, that's my
reporter.
career.
Really?
So I started off
You're trained in all of that? Sort of? Well, I mean,
yes,
you went
ma'am.
to school to be certified for all of these
Yes,
things?
ma'am.
Wow, that's
So
pretty good.
started off as a weapons maintainer, loading munitions on aircraft on A-10s. I did that for a few years. I went to Osan, Korea. I was there for a year.
What were you doing over there?
At Osan, I was an instructor, so giving guidance to members that come through on a monthly basis for loading bombs and things of that nature on aircraft.
Is that nerve-wracking,
that's
loading
fun.
bomb? It's fun?
That's a good time. Like, the people make that job amazing. Like, that was an amazing job. It really was. Great aircraft, A-10s, amazing
There's
aircraft.
never like a threat of something happening.
But we're trying to make sure to minimize those threats. Safety is paramount. From day one, once you're into the career field, like safety, safety, safety. Everything we do as a process, everything is a checklist. And there are always individuals out there, make sure we're following that process and that checklist.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So safety is one of those things that
So you've never had anything remotely happen. Okay,
ma'am.
so after Osan,
after Osan, then England,
Okay.
Lake Heath,
oh,
England.
how'd you like that?
England's beautiful. they speak the same language, so that helps with going overseas for the first time.
Yeah. But you sound funny to them.
Yeah, I sound funny to them. They sound funny to
Yeah,
us. You know,
yeah.
different words mean different things, but great community out there. The environment outside the base is there. They welcome us in, and we get out. That's our opportunity to get out there and travel a little bit.
Yeah. Is there a difference between being stationed on a base in the continental U.S. or a place like Guam than there is in a country
Yes.
that with potential risks?
Not necessarily a risk issue, but it's a known factor in regards to when members are overseas, they kind of bond more. They bond quicker because we're all kind of detached from family, whereas in stateside we can go to wherever,
You could drive at
Nebraska,
least, yeah.
Oklahoma, wherever. Whereas when you're overseas, we're connected with each other. So we do more family things as of an extended family. That's when people get their godparents because they've done so much with each other and they've always been around with their family.
What about, okay, so after England, where
After
did we go?
England, then to San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
At that time, I retrained into the legal career field. I was a paralegal. I'm a jack of all trades,
I
man.
guess.
Yeah. So paralegal career field, San Antonio. I was there for 2 years. Then up to Oklahoma City. I was a defense paralegal for 2 years. And then I went to Stuttgart, Germany. I was there for 2 years, and then here to Guam.
Wow. And so is this the first sort of job that you've had in this field?
In this field here at Anderson, yes, ma'am.
And yeah, well, boy, they put you in a really hot spot. I mean, they say when they talk about first lines of defense, you are first line of defense. I mean, I think that you were ultimately the first line of defense
the defenders out
on
there,
the
yes,
base.
ma'am.
Yeah, and that carries a lot of responsibility.
I get the opportunity to work with them. You know, they're the ones that are out there on a day-to-day basis, making sure that we're taken care of. I just have the opportunity to be a part of their squadron
Yeah.
and make sure they're taken care of as best as I can.
Okay, so all of this stuff, loading munitions, paralegal work,
Yes, ma'am.
security, like if you get out, what's like the job that you're gonna have or are you gonna go for something completely different?
Completely different.
Yeah, you're an overachiever. I hate you.
Family counseling, youth counseling.
No kidding.
Yes, ma'am.
So where did that part come from?
I think that's something that kind of started throughout life, just watching my mom and take care of us and the community. My grandparents are always family-oriented community. Doesn't matter if you're blood, you're family, and just how that is just instilled in me. And then
Yeah, times are tough. This is not the same place
It's not.
we were probably. I know there's a big, vast age difference between the two of us, but some of the core family values you probably have that I probably have changed.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot.
I think a lot of that has to
There's
do
a lot of
with
troubled kids out there.
our design of our communities now and our
Yeah.
design of our families. Smaller families, more detached families, so families aren't staying in the same communities anymore. So you kind of lose those things that you and I grew up with that the current generation don't have because they're
Yeah.
so detached from grandma and granddad.
It's so
auntie, and
hard to
uncle.
fix that, though. You know what I mean. See, it's hard to fix the structure of the family if it's changed. It's changed so dynamically. You can't do anything about the choices that parents make when
Yes,
they
ma'am.
have babies. You can't fix any of that.
Well, not necessarily fix it. I think we changed the concept of fixing it to just making it work for what we have. And instilling that we have to make a conscious effort nowadays to interact with our brother and sister, our nephews, our cousins, instead of it being so easy where every day I'm going to spend time with my cousins. You know, we have to make that effort nowadays to get out there and have that interaction.
Is there still room for young men to join the Air Force? Do they have like a quota, or they have like a cutoff point where a young man shouldn't?
No
or is it always
quota
something?
cutoff point. There's age restrictions, of course, out there just for safety matters. But we're always looking and wanting and accepting, great young men and women that want to come in and, serve with us and help us get to the next level.
Yeah. So you've been here for a year and a half.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been exposed to everything now, because it doesn't take. We only need you for a week, and then we're going to indoctrinate you. It doesn't take much time.
Yes.
But I'm sure the first thing is everybody wants to feed you.
Yes.
Yeah. We sat down here and I said, yeah, we're going to feed this boy, and so we brought you out some of the what we call the Chester platter. Mm-hmm. So you don't really like hot food, the spicy thing. You've been here for a year and a half, so and I'm sure you've had exposure to local families.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you know what the pica thing is,
yes,
right? Okay.
yes.
So do you like Denancy or Finadeni and that kind of stuff?
Finadini I like. Denancy I can do on occasion. It's just a matter of lack of hair.
Yeah. He doesn't have anything to sop up the
Yeah,
sweat.
so once it starts, it just rolls.
See, okay, so having said that, you want to try that? I can have an extra napkin and
Just
then
for me?
Yeah.
That's very thoughtful of you.
I want to torture you for a second, just to see whether or not.
Let's see what we got here.
Oh, that was a big wad. No, you got to go bigger than that.
Bigger than that?
Yeah, come on. If you're gonna sweat, you might as well do it profusely.
Yeah, I
is
guess.
what I say.
Let's see here.
Is that hot?
Nothing yet.
Nothing? You good?
I know I'm sweating already.
Are you?
I can feel that.
Don't drink water, whatever you do.
Is that the kicker?
Yeah, if you drink water, it makes it worse.
So they didn't
Oh
bring
my
me any
God,
bread?
you are breaking
I
out in
told
sweat.
you.
Yeah.
Once it starts.
Are you good?
I'm good for now.
You want another one?
I'm sure.
Hey, it's been really nice to talk to you. Thanks so much for
No problem.
joining us
Thank you.
today. Good luck. And how long are you going to be in Guam?
I'll be here for another 6-7 months.
Okay. And then do you know where you're going?
There's a couple options out there. I'm just waiting on the answer back, and then we'll see where Air Force decides to
Are
send
you
me.
are you like career Air Force? Is this
Yes,
where
ma'am.
you're going to stay?
Yes, ma'am. I've been blessed to have a great time and met a lot of really awesome
Yeah.
people. So a lot of great assignments. So I'm here until things open up for me to move on elsewhere and try to make things better for those that come behind me.
Well, maybe we'll run into each
Yes,
other again.
ma'am.
In the meantime,
It's been a
thank you
pleasure.
for joining us tonight. And thank you for joining us tonight from King's Restaurant. Something to talk about. I'll see you on the radio. Thanks for joining us. Good night.